What's good, YouTube? All right, today I just wanted to show my Charizard team that I've been using on the ladder for the past like couple days. Note that this one is a little different from the one that I did use top 16 the tournament this week. This one is a little updated, and I think this one is better from the one that I did use from before. Right, so if you want to use this version in your game on Pokemon Champions, this is the code right here. So you just go to replica codes, and then you will be able to grab this version of the team. So pretty much, right now I am on Pokemon Showdown. So recently, Pokemon Showdown they did update to Pokemon Champions, so you're able to find games on here if you want. So if you're not on your game and you want to get some quick testing, you want to do some best of 3 testing, they did update their ladder for that. So this is a resource if you don't know about Pokemon Showdown in general. This is a resource where you are able to find games. You're able to kind of build your team before you want to actually use it in your game. You can get a better like visual, just look at it, right? And then you could kind of play around with the stat sliders and stuff like that before you actually use like the resources in your actual game, right? So this is a tool that a lot of players use, a lot of top players, a lot of people in general, kind of know about the site when it comes to just finding games or just looking at things like that, right? So how I got to the team in the first place. So this team was from Alex Soto or Len VGC. So I was just looking at some teams before the game came out. I was not playing the pre-champions ladder that a lot of players were playing. So like him in particular, he was testing before the game came out. So we didn't know about the format or any of the other mons that would be available in the game. So no, right here, like he has like an Incineroar with a Assault Vest, and now we know that Assault Vest is not in the game, right? But this was like the main team concept that he did post. He also did talk about the different pieces on the team. So, for example, he goes over things about the Charizard or about the Venusaur. It's a pretty good read. So I'll just scroll through it for you. And you can pause and kind of just see what he was looking at. Obviously, this is translated, so some of it might not be direct translation. But there are obviously some mons, again, that are not in the game right now that he was like, kind of thinking about, right? So things like Dondozo or whatever, right? So after the game did come out, he did make a updated version of the team. So this is his version in the code here. So if you want to try out his version, feel free to do that, obviously. And then this is it in English, just in case, right? So pretty much by showing that, I just wanted to show you like where you might want to find teams. So if there's something else that you're kind of thinking about or things that you're interested in, I think that Twitter is a very good resource when it comes to doing that, right? I also want to show you a couple other sources. So this one in particular, this is Liberty Note. So this is where they post a lot of like Japanese teams, and then a lot of things about their tournaments. So a lot of players that you might know from the tournaments in person. A lot of players use this and take teams from here because a lot of Japanese players, they like to post a lot of cool teams, right? Things that a lot of players in the West don't really think about. But obviously, Pokemon Champions is pretty new, so everyone's kind of experimenting. But yeah, this is a very good resource for you to use, right? So again, you might have to translate some stuff, but they post a lot about their tournaments. Another one, boom. So this is VGC Pace. So they kind of grab a lot of the teams from different players or just whoever kind of posts things. So if you want an idea, again, I'd highly suggest looking at VGC Pace. So for this one in particular, right, there's a whole bunch of teams from different players or just other like content creators or just people in general that just share teams. And then they're able to grab like their whole team. So when it comes to like the items, the moves, the stats, so you used to call it EVs, now I don't know, they just call them like stat points now, right? So for example, like look at this team, right? This one looks pretty cool. So it's like a Mega Glamour team. You can look at again, like who made it. You can look at the code. You can look at the stats, and you can kind of just put it in your game, and then you can kind of test it and see where to go from there, right? So, boom. So yeah, I mainly wanted to go over that when it came to just finding resources. So I'll just talk like a little bit about the team in general. It's pretty straightforward. So pretty much you just have Charizard. So Mega Charizard is able to set up the sun when it Mega evolves, and then there are a lot of different moves you might want to use from the sun. So obviously, might change Overheat to Weather Ball. So Weather Ball allows you to get the single target fire damage in the sun. If you're in a different weather condition, it'll take on that that type. So for example, if you're in sand, it'll be a rock move. If you're in snow, it'll be an ice move. So that can be kind of weird, but I've kind of been liking it a little better just because Overheat, one, it lowers your stats, and two, it can miss. Weather Ball is kind of just a cool move in general that I've been testing lately. Then you have Heat Wave standard. You need that double target damage. Solar Beam standard, you need to hit those water types. Protect, pretty standard because it's a VGC team, right? Then we have Venusaur. I'm not sure how I really think about Venusaur. Obviously, it's very good because you have Sleep Powder. You're able to put things to sleep. You have Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll lets you go faster in the sun. And then you're able to outspeed a lot of threats, right? Then you have Sludge Bomb and Leaf Storm to kind of cover your bases when it comes to the same type attack bonus moves. So basically, that is just like if you're the same type, and then you're using a move of the same type, you do more damage, right? So yeah, we have those two. Those could be any different coverage moves. So for example, this could be like Energy Ball if you don't want to miss Leaf Storm, right? And then Protect, obviously, because again, this VGC team. Then we have Melodic. So Melodic is definitely my favorite piece on the team. Pretty much competitive lets you get a boost when you get your stats lowered. So for example, when Instant Roar comes in on the battle and it lowers your attack with Intimidate, you're able to get a +2 in your special attack. So you're doing like way more damage, right? So you're kind of punishing them for bringing Instant Roar into you. So yeah, I like Melodic a lot because one is kind of bulky on the special side. You can have Ice Beam, you can have Icy Wind. So a lot of like other utility moves. You can have stuff like Haze, Protect. So Melodic is cool because it gets you just sit on the board. I like use Recover and then just again punish those innocents and other Pokemon you might want to hit. Then we have the Gardevoir. The Gardevoir is kind of a cool slot. One has Telepathy, so this one allows you to dodge stuff like your partner Earthquake, so things like Garchomp. So Garchomp, you can do Garchomp plus Gardevoir, and then you're able to do like the double spread damage. So you're able to hit like Dazzling Gleam plus Earthquake, right? Just so you can put a little bit more pressure on your opponent. This one in particular has Side Shock. You can change this to Psychic if you want. It's kind of like a preference on which Psychic attack you might want. Moonblast is standard. You need that extra damage, and then Icy Wind is a cool tech move. So you might want to lower something's speed, and then you're able to outspeed it again, maybe with Garchomp or maybe with Charizard. So kind of just get you a little more extra damage. Then we have Instant. Instant being a cool, piece that lets you, again, it's Instant. It's like one of the best Pokemon like in the game at the moment, right? You have Fake Out. You're able to stop things from attacking. Flare Blitz, you might do a lot of damage, but in the sun you might do some more. So they kind of synergy there if you have both of them on the board. Darkest Lariat is a pretty good dark move. This can also be Throat Chop if you want to stop things like Primarina or other sound moves from your opponent. By kind of like Parting Shot and in Darkest Lariat. Not really on the Throat Chop at the moment because my instant is like pretty slow. So I figure you might get a little more advantage out of like Throat Chop if you have a faster instant and you kind of stop things from attacking. I kind of like the slow like Parting Shot and things like that. So I've been running that lately. And then there's Garchomp. So Garchomp, I like to have the 2 ground moves. I'm running Soft Sand, but this could be like Lumberry, this could be like Yachi, anything. Just again, it's kind of a preference. But yeah, I like Stomping and Earthquake. But again, a lot of people that might want Rock Slide here instead, so you can hit like other Charizards and like other like flying types in general. And then Dragon Claw is pretty obvious, and then Protect, so you can obviously protect your guys, right? So I would say the main strengths of the team, definitely Charizard plus Venusaur. Obviously, you get like a lot of pressures. You can put things to sleep, and then you can blow them up with your strong fire moves. Like I said, Melodic is like my favorite piece on the team just because one, it punishes Incineroars, two, it kind of sits on the board. It can be very annoying. Skull burns are very clutch, especially when you want to just lock a slot that they have on the board. So again, you can like weaken a physical attacker by burning it, and then you can just leave it there so they have like less options, which is very good, right? I think that's the main thing about VDC is kind of like knowing your opponent's options and limiting them, so you can take advantage of the board state. So yeah, so you could do like melodic instant, that could be cool. You can do like Gardevoir, Garchomp. It kind of just depends again on like what they have, and kind of just looking at which offensive pieces would be the best. I feel like I bring basically everything to the games so far. Surprisingly, like I said before, I don't really bring Venusaur that much, which is weird because like this is probably like your best offensive like pressure, right? These two. But I don't know, it might catch your opponent off guard if you don't bring it. But there's a lot of instances where you should bring Venusaur. I'm not gonna really go over like what to bring at the moment, but this is just kind of the team. I think you could try it out because yeah, it's pretty good. So I suggest again looking and trying this team. But if you want to try other teams, to look at VGC Pace, and then you can get other Charizard teams, or you can just get any other team you might want to look into. So yeah, all right.